You see, normally the mind in the beginning lives with the wrong perception or wrong experience. Earth appears stationary, but it is moving. And we take it for granted. Our experience when you are driving the car, we see the trees are moving behind you. I cannot deny my eyes can see it, but it is error in perception. The physics has proved the earth is always moving, mirrors water. So, what happens? Mind based on wrong perception conceive an idea. I look at you with a sad face, so the mind starts imagining that this guy is angry over me. And that happens all the time, especially in our relationship. So, what happened to you? Now, my mind wants to know what happened. Nothing happened. Why you disturb others? Let them have a big face. What we can do? So, what happens that because of emotional attachment, we lose awareness and we start opening up. Oh, why you are doing this? I'm your husband and wife. You should not have that kind of an attitude. Unnecessary, unwanted, waste of time. We do not live our life, we live life of others. That is one point I am making. We must live our life. We should not live the life of others. So when we live our life with the right knowledge, that is Eastern wisdom. It means I am living from moment to moment. We do not live our own life, we live the life based on how others look at us, how others think about us, how others feel about us. Earth is stationary, so earth is stationary, I have taken it. But can I become aware? Now see, I'm linking it. That is what this master does. So we are already playing with certain concepts. So this is what the master says is ignorance. I am living in ignorance. I must recognize. I do not recognize because of my ego, and that is why we say in Eastern wisdom, what is meditation? Going beyond ego. It is because of the wrong perception. Otherwise, ego has no problem. If the ego perceives what is right and good, have ego. Where is the problem? So, ego with the wrong perception, what it does, it puts us into darkness. It puts us into darkness. So, that is why we say tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Darkness to light. Now, darkness is the absence of light. So, can I say in whose presence I do not know anything? It is darkness. I go into the room at the midnight and it is full of darkness. I don't know anything. In whose presence nothing is known. Now we are giving another understanding to the ignorance. And in whose presence everything is known. Light is there. That's why I see you, you see me. It demands only an awareness. In presence of light, everything is known. In presence of darkness, nothing is known. So that is why we compare the light with the knowledge. And we compare the darkness with ignorance. When I am not aware who am I am in ignorance. It is self-ignorance. It is self-ignorance. And that self-ignorance prevents the mind to know who am I. It is simple. The more we go and expand this, we will have a clarity. We will live into that awareness. You can use in whose presence nothing is known, ignorance. In whose presence everything is known is light. That light is known as a knowledge. Nothing happens to the light. Whether the light is here or anywhere. But presence is required. Presence is required. And that light is consciousness. That is the knowledge. Knowledge is consciousness. And consciousness is the ultimate reality. That we are. It is present here. But because of the presence of that ignorance, I am not able to realize it. Or I realize creating false conception about it. So if we remove those false conception by clarity, by understanding, we will live into that state. See another way of this ignorance and the knowledge and light and the darkness. What Buddha, I was telling him, you understand what is his name. You are devoted to the Buddha, yes. I like it. Buddha says the world is suffering. No, I know, I have read it. Question is, does your mind believe that the world is suffering? After listening to the talk, the world is the source of pleasure. He said, that's the right question. I said, tell me the answer. So in what way you claim that you are a devotee of Buddha? Why you push me that I should give a breath mindfulness even for 10 minutes to a group? Do you believe? Are you clear? The world is the source of suffering, Buddha says. And after the same world is the source of pleasure for you. That is why you are attached. That is why the suffering continues. That's a good question. I said, no, it's not a good question. But it's living in ignorance. And that is why we need to listen to the teacher, to receive the knowledge. We'll be able to receive. It is only the teacher who can point you. The world is the source of suffering. Buddha says, but you don't believe it, and I will prove that you don't believe it. That is why you blame and complain and you react, you are in anger and anxiety. The book is not going to tell you. Book is dead. Yes. Now see. Now the master says, did you understand the problem? Yes, we have understood the problem. So the master says it's nothing a question of ego. You have understood it, it's okay. You have not understood, that too is okay. How to start the journey? I have given an explanation of this, but now we are going deeper. So every master starts the text in the teaching with Mangalacharan, with auspiciousness. And this master, Vichar Sagar master, has gone very deep into Mangalacharan. That we will talk when the topic 1 comes next time. And they all have discussed directly or indirectly Anubandha Chatushtaya, the 4 connection. We meet, today we met at a particular time. I see you, I saw you, you saw me. We started our journey face to face. That is one form of Mangalacharan. We did namaste to each other. In modern psychology, we say it is a cognitive ability. Cognition, recognition, knowing, I am aware. So every master starts the journey of the Eastern wisdom. They have written all the books. They have directly or indirectly created a verse on Mangalachar and on Anubandha Chatushtaya. We take it in a very simple way and we are not able to understand it clearly from the very first principle. We continue to live in ignorance. So our master of this Vichar Sagar goes very deep at it. But before we go there, Mangalacharan, we express by thought, we say, I say namaste to you, you say namaste to me. Sometimes we say, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, that is also okay. That we bless, we feel, we want to connect to everyone in the universe. Ultimately, the mind says one universe, so many people. But then this master goes into a Mangalacharan totally in a typical way. That we will take up in the next session. But we should move in another direction. I expressed in the form of a thought the Mangalacharan. So let us go into a thought. And I discussed, I feel an urge to take a cup of tea. So I go to the kitchen. The same thought contains the knowledge. But knowledge is consciousness. Thought is matter. How they both go together? Thought is matter. Mind is matter. We'll talk. I'm just raising lot of questions so that once you become clear. Yes, what did you want to?
But knowledge, it's like a window of our perception.
Yes, and any perception means I have to be conscious.
Yeah.
So knowledge is consciousness. But on the other hand, we say the thought is matter, mind is matter. How come they go together? We will understand that. How they go together.
But thoughts and mind, it's a frame for the consciousness.
But mind is a matter. Mind is like that. Mind is a matter that reflects consciousness.
Yeah.
Mind is a
Everything like consciousness.
yeah. So now can we say the reflected consciousness is the mind? No, the mind remains as a matter. We will talk.
Matter always reflect consciousness because we cannot perceive matter other way. Only,
Except in deep sleep.
yeah. But no perception in the deep sleep.
Yeah, there is no perception in the deep sleep. It means the mind in deep sleep does not reflect that consciousness. So it means it proves that the mind is a matter. So it means mind, thought, reflected consciousness, they all go together. It this is what the ego is. We will go slowly, step by step. So whether I say I go to the kitchen, I go to the restroom, so it has an element of reflected consciousness. It mind is also there. Mind means I or intellect. Mind contains, it has four divisions that we discussed earlier. So sometimes the same mind says I, same mind says knowledge, but ultimately these three elements are there. The moment we are aware of these three elements, we know. We know. That is the meaning of Upanishad, meaning tamasoma jyotirgamaya. Thought is matter. I see you. At present, I see you has two elements. I see you is a thought, and I see you, it means I'm conscious of you. So that conscious of you is a reflected consciousness. Thought removes the ignorance. We will talk in detail later. Thought removes the ignorance, but if I'm not conscious, I don't get the knowledge. Buddha says the world is suffering. It is a thought. But if I'm not conscious of this thought, nothing happens. So, who is that conscious? This is what I am. And I say I am husband, wife, I am this and that. This is the beauty of this master. I have picked up maybe seventh or eighth topic, but just so the thought is matter, mind is matter, then there is a reflected consciousness. Am I aware of that? Namaste. Then I am you and you are me. Then sarve bhavantu sukhina works. Otherwise, it will not work. Even if we go on repeating this for 100 times, million times.
So thoughts is a conductor of consciousness.
In a way, that filament in the bulb is the subtle body. The bulb is the physical body, and the electricity is consciousness. Filament reflects the light supported by the physical body. But if electricity is not there, no thought, I am not conscious of anything. Think like this. So that is the beauty. So the thought. Now, why we explain this? Does this thinking gives me an understanding that I am a seeker or I am not a seeker? I have never worked on the mind to declare that I am a seeker. When I say I am a seeker, seeker of what? Seeker of the real self. But simply I take it just for the sake of saying that I am a seeker. So that reflected consciousness does not make me conscious that I am a seeker. Now I've been doing the practices for so many years and it's okay. I gave an example of Buddha. The word is suffering, I don't. So that is the part of the ignorance, and that is why we lack awareness, we lose awareness, and then we find, oh, let us do some practice of meditation and it will work. How many times we have to do the practice? I have done it 100 times. I have done 1,000 times. Every time I do it, I experience the change, but after that, that change is taken over by the same mind. Now, see, it is worth to understand. So, when I say I feel I'm hungry, so I recognize by default I need to go to a kitchen. So, my mind is connecting myself to the kitchen first. Then the result is the result. I must meet the hunger. How? By food. The subject matter is food, subject matter is not the kitchen.
Yeah.
I am a seeker. We are working on 4 connections. I have to simply become aware of these 3: subject, object, and the result. The more we lose this connection, we may be doing the practices for years. It does not bring any result. So we have Mangala Charan, one part, we have 4 connections. I recognize kitchen as a place for food. I connect myself with the knowledge of the food through the kitchen. I do not go to the bedroom. Why? Because I am conscious. So first thing that I am qualified. Same way I should connect and understand that I am seeker on the qualified path. So I should be conscious of food in the kitchen and my hunger. If I do not connect it, nothing is going to happen. You see, look at the 4 connections. Food can remove hunger, my pain and suffering. Pain and suffering due to the hunger. I connect myself to the food to remove my suffering. It is 100% clear to me. Habitually, impulsively. Is it 100% clear to me that I connect to the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom to bring an end to all kinds of suffering? Answer is no. That is why the Buddha says, what is the source of suffering? But I say Buddha is the world is the source of pleasure. So that is the impurity of the mind. Because the mind does not want to believe, it has a doubt. So you can think of, I would say I can think of at least 15 different topics to remove this misunderstanding. That there is nothing in the world that contains pleasure. You see now you see that. No, but my mind says rati, tripti, and thirsty. So it means I'm not understanding still. I still have a doubt. But as a seeker, we question. You say whatever you want to say, but is it not a fact that I like pasta? When I eat pasta, it gives me pleasure. It's my experience. So on one hand, we say, okay, you see the mirage water, so bring a bottle of mirage water for me because you experience it.
Yeah.
So we should be very, that is only one thing. Now you say that you experience the pleasure by eating pasta. You like the pasta? Yes. You have a craving for pasta? Yes. So liking and craving causes the attachment? Yes. So it means there is an hesitation in the mind to eat pasta? Yes. So is your pleasure is an absence of hesitation of eating pasta? Because now you are eating pasta. So all the hesitation of the mind has come down, which you claim as a pleasure, but pleasure is not there. You know pleasure is not there in the pasta. You know it 100%. And the mind is also not the source of pleasure. You know it. So you have a wrong understanding. This is what we say ignorance. So you have a wrong understanding that, what is the wrong understanding? That I experience pleasure eating pasta, I experience eating this, I experience with reference to the object of the world. So that is why we say four connections are important. I also connect to my hunger. Hunger is a suffering. We have a fear. The problem is in the stomach, met by the food outside. Do you see that? Met by the food outside. And the mind, intellect goes habitually, it knows it. But we miss this point in the four connections. That is the problem. So this master goes with a different approaches. No, you have to understand. And it blows our mind. So that is how I'm just giving a taste of it, how we go. Is there any relationship between ignorance and suffering? Yes. But do I really know? We normally say, every teacher says ignorance is suffering. But do I really experience? When there is a suffering, I remember I am in ignorance. Let me move to the knowledge. Answer is no. Then I blame others. I blame the world outside. I blame myself. I commit suicide. That is also that I am responsible for my suffering. You are responsible for my suffering. The world is responsible for my suffering. Society is responsible for suffering. 2 weeks ago, this girl told me that society is so much corrupt and I'm frustrated. Why you are frustrated? Society is corrupt. I don't have magic band to correct your society. She's also Ukrainian. She sent me a long email. So I have a wrong fourfold connection. We acknowledge there is a corruption, but we are not going there. Why should I feel frustrated? Because I am not able to do corruption. If I am a part of that, if I am able to do it, then everything is okay. So, what exactly is the connection between ignorance and suffering? I must be 100% clear. My master used to say, any object that gives you pleasure in the beginning, the pain is hidden behind it. You take marriage, you take food, you take anything. That is the message Buddha says world is suffering. World is also a source of pleasure, source of suffering. One time the same guy gives me pleasure, the second time the same guy gives me pain. So, is there a connection between the knowledge, real self, and the end of suffering? I know I am pure consciousness. Simply, I am like a presence of the light. That light does not change, it is all pervading. I have no problem. The moment I realize that I am consciousness. But until then, there is no end of suffering. So the master says, understand in terms of the false I and the real I. You are suffering, it is your false I who is suffering. The moment you will realize the real I, the suffering comes to an end. You are still identifying yourself with the false I. That is why you claim you are worthy of suffering. You see how intelligently and wisely they have worked. You claim you are worthy of suffering, false I. You claim you are not worthy of suffering, you already have a knowledge. So then your argument, our mind argument, wrong argument that I have a pain in the body, that disappears. It is false I. So when we are not identifying with the false I, the mind reflects that pure consciousness and we are there. I told you one master, he used to go into the stage in the corporate programming and he used to ask all the corporate executives to stand up and say with a loud voice, pointing to the master, that you master, you are crazy. So everyone used to speak with a loud voice and he used to keep his hands open. And the moment they said, master, you are crazy, he said, now you sit down. I kept this word craziness in my fist. I did not allow it to enter into my head. So the question of you claim that I told you crazy, but it doesn't affect me. I caught it and I threw it. Done. Because the world passes to the mind, it is my mind gives the interpretation, then only I will feel insulted. But my mind is not giving any interpretation, so it doesn't work. Can the false I causes suffering? We have a wrong perception of the false I. We claim it is the real I. Then the real I is nothing but the mind and the intellect. It gives the interpretation, and the way it gives the interpretation has to be corrected to move to the real I. And we can move from the false I to the real I only by knowledge. But it does not mean we stop all the actions. We cannot stop all the action. Life is action. So again, be very clear. That is how this master works. I should go to the oldest text. That is Yoga Vasisht. 5,000 years ago, that is the oldest text. Vasisht is a great master, and he written the text that is known as Yoga Vasisht.
He was teacher of Rama.
Teacher of Rama. Yes, you are right. So teacher of Rama, he has a beautiful verse. He says, human life has two wings, like the two wings of a bird. If the one wing is not working properly, the bird cannot fly. We can fly to the self-realization by the two wings. One wing is the knowledge, other wing is the action. We should keep all the actions together, but not as a doer and the experiencer. To keep my physical body and the mind, the subtle body working. Not as a doer and the experiencer, but for the sake of the knowledge. That is known as awakening. That is known as realization. When that mind is clear. False I simply means what I declare I am not. I have to live into that awareness that this what I am not. But we forget. Go back to the same principle. Buddha says world is pleasure, but I say world is suffering, but I say the word is pleasure. I have heard you. Mind says I have heard you, I have understood you, but let me enjoy the pleasure first before I think about you. So you see that I'm living in ignorance from moment to moment. We forget. So that is why the false I leads to ignorance and suffering. I should know this is false I as a false. That is what the master is saying. Master is saying recognize cognitive ability to see the false as a false. Where is the way? Shravan Mana Nididhyasan. That is why the master in the Upanishad, look at any teachings of the Upanishad. Asato ma satgamaya. Do you find any practice? No. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. No, it's a knowledge. Mrityorama mritangamaya. Knowledge. Knowledge is consciousness, consciousness is awareness. So before the four connections, we should take it straight. We should find out how to connect ignorance to suffering. We should be very clear. I have a headache. Should let me take a pill and the headache is gone. But my suffering is the false I. What kind of a pill is required? It is only the knowledge will take care of me. So, how to connect ignorance to suffering? It's not difficult, but as we move along, step by step, the mind opens up. Oh, yeah, it's so simple. It's so simple. You had anger over your honey the moment, and the knowledge dawns in you, and you're totally free. You become totally free. You need not to do any practice. Oh, okay. Why I'm becoming unnecessarily? I'm becoming. So how to connect knowledge to realization? How to connect end of suffering to the purity of the mind leading to the knowledge? You see, all connections. We are going to more and more we talk, more and more we become clear. The mind is going to calm down. Even before that, I should know, am I a qualified seeker? It is not that the teacher says you. I should believe, I should have a complete faith that I am a qualified seeker. Mind has no doubt. When the mind has no doubt, it is clear, we can move deeper. The mind claims it looks like a joke. When I remove ignorance, I will be happy. At present, I am experiencing suffering and the pain, and you say, my experience will change by learning Eastern wisdom, receiving the knowledge, not doing any practice.
Yes.
So we have to understand from where this doubt comes and how to remove that doubt and how to remove the false notion. So what you are experiencing pain in the body, but you are not the pain. You are not the body. So the mind keeps on identifying. It brings the attachment instantly. Then it asks the question, and that question is not valid, and then we fall into ignorance again. Four connections. So four connections. First is the who am I? Am I a qualified seeker or not? First is I. Who is this I at present? Do I need to change this I? Yes or no, I should answer. Do I receive and retain the knowledge clearly? What it means by being a qualified seeker? So, what is this knowledge we are talking about? The knowledge of the real self. My master used to say that, did I tell you you are real self? Yes. Does your mind also declare that I am the real self? I said, it never occurred to me. You told me you are real self, so I'm real self. I never thought of it. So he says that the master says you are real self. But if your mind is not ready to accept, recognize, and think that I am the real self, master is saying you are real self. He says that I am real self. You never said it. How it will happen? As if I told you that in your account you have $1 million. But unless you declare, why we don't declare? Buddha says what is suffering. We say what is pleasure. Do you recognize that level of ignorance, misunderstanding, error of perception? We have that error of perception in our life. So that is the subject matter. The subject matter of entire Eastern wisdom. You pick up any text, it says you are real self. They have to say you are real self, but do I recognize that I am the real self? My master sent me to another master who was living in a cottage in Rishikesh. He had one book, Yog Vasist. So what's happening? I asked, and he said, "No, I'm just reading about my biography. Where it is? It is in Yog Vasist. Every verse talks about me. I'm so happy." What a great master! I'm not reading a text. They are talking about me, that I'm peace and I'm happiness, I'm love and wisdom. We don't recognize this. Even after many years of the study, even many years of the practice. Patanjali in the third sutra says, Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. Now you are settled in the real self. So we say as if the real self is different from I. Real self is different from I. No, that I is the real self.
I is
But I recognize I with reference to the mind, with reference to the three bodies, with reference to the five koshas, with reference to the waking, sleep, and the dream. The mind has such a deeper level of ignorance, it cannot think beyond that. That is why we have to learn it, we have to remove that ignorance. What is that ignorance? The mirror is water, the earth is stationary. No, earth is moving. So the same way I feel that I am the body and the mind, now these examples will come closer. Are you looking? The mind by default is always looking for the result, for any action that we do, whether we receive any knowledge, whether we are going to a restaurant or driving or talking, that the default. So the master says it brings an end to all the suffering. That is the result. Are you ready? It's very clear. Master is very clear. To make the person clear, to make him a qualified seeker, we have to follow certain principles to reach to that state, to remove all the doubts, the misconception, the false notion. So we have three factors, and then we connect them, all the three factors, in variety of ways, is known as the four connection. First is the adhikari, I am. Am I a qualified seeker? Second is the subject matter. Third is the result. We do some business, we plan it out, we project the profit. Then we are inspired and motivated. Same way, these three factors are there. Result is complete end of suffering. The mind doesn't believe so easily. Why? That is why we have to study the three bodies, Sthul, Sukshma, and Karan Sharira. That is why we have to study five kosha. That is why we have to study waking state, dream state, sleep state. That is why we have to study about the five elements. That is why we have to study Sato, Rajo, and Tamoguna. Otherwise, not required. To completely remove the ignorance and the false notion, that is how we have to study. So, this master says that four connections is general four connection, and specific four connection. No other master has explained like this. Every master says there are four connections, three factors are there, and you connect them and start the journey. So he catches our attention from the very first topic. He says there is a general way to have this four connection, and there is a specific way to have a four connection. So in the general way, we have something around 11 topics, and the specific way we have 69 topics. He says you should be 100% clear. You raise your objections, you raise your doubt, and I will resolve all the doubt. So we will go to that. Many masters raise the question. This is what happens between the two masters or many masters. They wanted to be very clear whether they have written the text intellectually or with the realization. That is the beauty of these texts. What books I write, it has no value at all. But obviously, because I pick up the same principles, I explain them, it has certain value in the modern time because it helps you to think with the contemporary society, with the contemporary thinking. That has a value. So one master asked him, we already have Upanishads, we already have Yoga Sutra, we already have Yoga Vasishtha, we already have 3000 texts. What is the use of writing your text? Why should we study your text? So when masters debate, they ask those craziest questions. And he answers that question. How many people can study all the Upanishads, the entire Yoga Sutra, how much they can understand? I have studied them, I have realized that state, and now I can refer whenever it is required. And I have already added those references of the Upanishads in the main text. And I'm writing not in Sanskrit, I'm writing in a common man's language. So the people can easily grasp it. So my book has a right to exist. That is the beauty, that much of authority. So when you have that much, I have not studied all the Upanishads. I don't have that authority. It doesn't mean that I don't know, it's a different thing. I'm just giving you an introduction, a feel that how this master will go about it. We have, you see his level, his consciousness, and the way he expresses. He says that if I am a teacher, you are a seeker, and then I teach you from the text that I have written. It is a triangular format. I discussed about it. Triangular format. Even the mind follows the triangular format. I, you, I know you. Third. Meditation practitioner, knower, known, knowing. Subject, object, and the relationship between the two. There is always a triangular format. We will understand he works through the binary format. Last point is very important, that every master, sometimes the master starts with the unitary format directly. Sometimes they start with the binary format, but normally every master starts with the triangular format. I know I am a teacher, that's why you have approached me. So two is there, then I have to pass the knowledge. Because you don't know, so the triangular format is there. But I can also say, no, you are not suffering, you are real self. Now you complain all the suffering, but I say you are real self. So I am not able to connect to yourself. I have to connect to yourself. So the master, every master connects in a different way. Buddha connects in a different way, Shankara connects in a different way, Krishna connects in a different way. Krishna connected to Arjuna first time by saying that you are, what he said, Napunsak, you are impotent. And Arjuna did not feel bad. Arjuna said, no, now I'm surrendering to you. Tell me what is right and good. Means I want to follow the path of the Shreyas. So it started with a triangular format. So listen to this, think of this again and again. And the first topic